Okay, I can. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global BizApps 2020, powered by D365 Champs. I'm Kuldeep Gupta, and hope you all are doing well and keeping safe. This session is presented by Julian Sharp. Julian will be talking about Discover the Field Service Mobile Power App. It's a most hot topic in the industry now. A little bit about Julian. Julian is a Microsoft certified specialist and a trainer as well.
Mhm.
He's the founder at Ready 365 and a power addict also. He has worked with Dynamics 365 since it was CRM 1.0. Oh my God. And has been delivering training in Dynamics 365 Power Platform and Azure. And
Yeah.
before I hand over the session to you, Julian, I would like to mention that if you have any question, audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat window and
Mhm.
we'll take it either during the session if possible or during the Q&A time at the end. Thank you again for joining and enjoy the session. Julian, over to you.
Thank you very much for that really nice introduction. That's me. As I say, I've been involved in Dynamics for a long time, but I've sort of spread out as we've gone through. I was a very early adopter of hosting. We used to run our own hosting for Dynamics CRM before Dynamics CRM Online became a thing. So I've been in the cloud really for a long time. Now, through that, I've used Azure. And I've always gone on to every new cloud system. So Azure, then the Power Platform very, very quickly and adopted it in my solutions. As you say, my day job's really being a solution architect, but I spend about half my time training. And I train a mixture of Dynamics, Power Platform, Azure. And more recently, AI has really been a big focus. I'm an MVP as of about 6 months ago. I'm a new MVP. Um, and I speak quite a lot of lots of different things, and it's great just to have you all here and have you all. I think it's really, really great how much of a community you have. I hadn't really appreciated it. I've seen little bits of you around and seen some of the videos, but I hadn't actually appreciated how great a community you have. Sorry. My contact details are on there. Twitter, Julian Dynamics, and my LinkedIn account there. So let's get started. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the new Field Service Mobile, the new Field Service Mobile Power App. What I'm really going to say, what is it, and how does it affect me? If I'm involved in field service, what does this mean for me going forwards? Now, field service is really, I've been involved in implementing Dynamics. I've done hundreds of Dynamics implementations, sales, customer. I mean, my main background is customer service and call centers. That's where I really got into CRM, moving into CRM from call centers. But in reality, last couple, 2, 3 years, probably even longer, 4 years, my favorite app, if I'm allowed to have one, is field service, because I think it has the opportunity to really have the most impact. Because sales implementation, you're just touching the sales problem. When you implement field service, you're touching every single bit of an organization. You're not just touching a few people sat in the office scheduling. You're dealing with the operations people out in the field. And I was involved in a big, well, if last year I did a project, which if it was just sales, it would be about 20 users. By the time we did field service, you're into 500 users. It becomes a bigger project. It has more impact on a business, and that's actually more interesting for me. I like doing, like, really solving, making customers really see how operationally they can change. And you get the true digital transformation because you have to touch every single part of the business. And who are the most important people in a field service implementation? And it's the people doing the work. It's the people going out to deliver service. So field service is about delivering service at a customer site, not at your own site. That's what customer service does, where you've got incoming calls. Field service is somebody going out. And field service traditionally has been done very badly. There isn't really a good market leader. There's not one dominant player. There's lots of small players in terms of software solutions, lots of manual solutions. The project we did last year, they were still using T cards. They'd failed twice to do a system to replace their manual processes because it's technically quite hard. There's a lot of moving parts. But what most people forget about is the people who do the work. They are the most important user you have, because you need to enable them and position them for success. And what do I mean by that? Well, we need to make sure they know where they're going. So I need to go to this customer site. They need to know where they're meant to be going. They need to know what time they need to be there. They need to know what they're going to be doing when they get there. What are they going to be facing? Which product is it? What skills are they going to need? They also need to know what parts they might need, because it's not just they might need to bring something with them. So we have this sort of mantra in field services: right place, right time, right parts, right skills, right equipment, everything all together. And for everything to come together, that's the difficulty. We talk in field service about having something called a first time fix rate. So which says, if I go out to a site, can I solve the problem then and there, or do I need to come back? And the industry average is around 73%, which sounds great, but it means is a quarter of the time you're having to go back for no extra pay, for no extra revenue. If with Dynamics 365 field service, we can increase that easily, I think, up to 90%. And when I've done really involved in projects, we've done that. But when we get there, we want the technician to be able to have everything they need to do their job. And often we find when we go into field service projects, people forget about them because they don't see them. They very much focus on the scheduling or the sales side. For me, the technician is the most important. You should actually, when you start on a field service project, you should start from then and work backwards. That's just me. Now, I don't know if you've been involved in the Dynamics Mobile over the years, or Dynamics CRM mobiles. We never used to. We actually had a Dynamics CRM mobile in version 3. Anybody here from the CRM 3 days? There was a mobile client which worked on Windows CE for a short time. Then that sort of dropped off, and then we had a number of third-party products fall into place. Resco, and there was another one which I implemented a few times. I actually did a field service solution in CRM4 using a third-party add-on. That was interesting. Yeah, I'd love to do it now. It would have been so much easier. It was hard work then. And then we didn't have a mobile at all. And then we sort of started getting a mobile client back again about CRM 2015 time. But I don't know if you ever used it. It wasn't very functional. We had a separate phone and tablet app. And I think when they went to develop when the field service team needed a mobile app, the Dynamics app didn't suffice. So they went and used a third-party one powered by Resco. So they licensed a mobile app. So the current field service mobile app is licensed from a third party. Okay, a company called Resco, and it's great. It has a lot of really good functionality. What I'm going to do in a bit, I'm going to compare the different options that we have. So because we need to understand where they are, what they can do. But essentially, the Dynamics 365 mobile wasn't good enough. A number of reasons for that. It didn't have full offline access. And if you're going out to remote sites, you often walk into big tin sheds, big factories, which actually act as a shield for internet. So you need to be able to work offline. And until recently, the Dynamics mobile app couldn't work offline. So when I heard Microsoft said, we're going to build our own field service mobile app, I was really excited. I was like, okay, yes, because there is some issues using the other one, which I'll come to. But yeah, great. We're going to be able to start using. They're going to enhance the Dynamics mobile app. And I thought, or maybe they're going to build a Canvas app, or maybe they're going to do something else. So what I'm going to describe is what Microsoft has done. This field service mobile power app. Then I'll compare it with the existing options that we have. And then what should you do next? If you're already okay, so really, if you're already got field service and you're using the mobile, what does this mean for me? Or if I'm starting a field service project, I've got a choice of mobile apps. Which one should I go for? So I'm going to try and address those points. And I'm expecting questions on this. And I know it's after midnight for a lot of you. So if you're still here, great. Thanks a lot for listening. But let's dive in. So first of all, and this was the thing that got me, it's the new mobile app. It's a new Power App. So when I heard Power App, I immediately thought, oh, everybody says Power App's a Canvas app. No, it's not. It's actually a model-driven app. And this really surprised me, because if you've used a model-driven app, you typically have an issue where you can only edit, model-driven apps, you can only edit one record on a form at any one time. And if you want to edit a record on another form, for a different entity, you have to navigate to that. And when that's okay if you're using on a computer screen and you can do things around that. But if I'm on a mobile device and I'm a technician, I need to see quite a lot of information. I need to see the work order, which is the bit work got, who the customer is, what the location is, what the products are, what the skills required, what the tasks are. There's actually a whole load of related entries. If you have a look at field service and look at the number of entries around work order, which technician needs to see, you see the booking itself. You need to see lots of other things. You need to be able to update. I need to be able to change the booking status. I need to be able to mark a service task as completed. I may need to look up the map. And all of those, that's quite a hard UI problem to solve, because you've got all, especially if we're doing a model-driven app, which doesn't support records from multiple pages. So I thought, okay, this isn't going to be great. But actually, I've been very pleasantly surprised, because they've actually built a separate model-driven app and a separate mobile client for it. So it's a model-driven app, but with another, we're not going to be using the Dynamics mobile app or the Power Apps app. We've got a dedicated field service mobile app on your mobile device. And that supports a load of other things. It's a native app for iOS and Android, not Windows phones. I believe it will be coming for Windows tablets, I think, as well, not just yet. But it's available on your phones and tablets, Android and iOS. Particularly Android is a key focus for field service technicians rather than iOS. But what they've done, what the product team has actually done, which I think is really exciting for, there's going to be lots of benefits for this, is they've actually built a load of PCF controls. So, you know, the Power Apps component framework where developers can build richer UIs, which we can use in model-driven apps. They've done that. They've built PCF controls that enable you to see more information on one screen and to be able to edit related records without having to navigate away. And hopefully that means we'll be able to reuse some of those controls or those ideas into the rest of Dynamics as well in the mobile app. That's always been my problem with the Dynamics mobile. It was too clicky. You had to jump around too much. It's okay for looking up for things, but not really for being able to use it. Okay, so it's a native app. It's got integration with the other thing that we always had the problem with the Dynamics mobile app is it didn't integrate with GPS until I don't think it did. It's only recently it was able to use the camera even, whereas doing things like taking pictures, scanning for barcodes, knowing where we are with GPS location is really fundamental for doing field service. So what we're going to see, because Microsoft has invested in this field service mobile app, we're going to see a lot of benefits coming to the Dynamics mobile apps as well, and the Power Apps, I suspect, as well, over time. So it's really going to drive the functionality for the rest of Dynamics. So that's what it is. It's a brand new app. It uses the unified interface only. That's one thing. And what there is, you'll see when you install field service, you now get there's a separate form. So if I was to go into my system, you see a form for use with the mobile app. So it's a separate form. So I can use it on the web, but there's specific forms for use on this mobile client. So it's not Windows at the moment, but I believe that will be coming. Not Windows phones ever, unfortunately. I love my Windows phone. It was dragged out my hands, screaming. But yeah, Windows tablets I expect to happen. So what can it do? What can it do right now? Well, it gives me a nice calendar view of my booking. So here's a screenshot of what it might look like. Now, if you've ever used the Dynamics mobile app, you'll just run like the Sales Hub or your own custom unified interface app. It doesn't look this nice. So they've done the calendar view really nicely, allow you to see things. You can go and so you can see your bookings. So as a technician, I can see where I'm booked. So bookings are where I've got to be on each day from schedule, the status, location. I can view the work order so I can see what I need to do. And really, I can go and update the booking status. So within field service, you have a booking. It goes from unscheduled. When you schedule a booking, when it gets scheduled, work order gets scheduled, the booking's created and it's scheduled. And typically it goes through this process where you go, I'm traveling, so I'm on my way. And then I go from traveling. So when I arrive, it becomes in progress. And when I leave, it's completed. And all those booking statuses actually are really important within field service because they drive what's shown on the schedule board, they drive the billing, and it's really, really important. Again, so we can do that. Very easy for the technician to do. It's really the minimum requirement is to be able to change that booking status. And we've got the integration with device for camera and signature. Signature capture, getting somebody to sign something is really important. And we have some offline capability. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to compare what we've got. So I'm also going to talk about what's coming in the roadmap, because this is very much right now a version 1, and we'll get onto that in a bit. And it supports the new inspections functionality. So I don't know if you're aware, in field service, typically people think field service is just going out, installing something or fixing something. But a large part of field service is actually people going out doing inspections, where they go through a checklist or a certain set of actions to check things. And actually the project I did last year in field service, big one, was essentially a variation of inspections. Unfortunately, we didn't have inspections until early Wave 1 release this year. But yes, we can do inspections, which allow us to ask the questions and ask and answer the questions. So we've got that in there. So it's got a fair amount of capability already. Now, how do I get the app? So if I want to get this app, I need to be at least field service version 8.8.22. Okay. And when you do that, you'll automatically see, when you start look at your apps, you'll see a new app called Field Service Mobile. So in my browser. So if I go to switch to my browser, where am I? Where's my browser session gone? If I click on here and go to my apps, it's slightly different now because they've changed the logos. We get this. We get, as well as my field service app, which is my normal one I was just in, I've got this field service mobile app. So we're going to have a look at that in a minute and see what that looks like. But that's what we see. So if you don't see that, you haven't got it. You need to make sure you go in and update your environment. And in your environment, you can actually check your versions. And sometimes, I don't know if you're aware, field service gets quite a lot of updates, and sometimes you have to go in and apply them and make sure you're on the latest version. So I always go into my Power Platform Center, go to have a look at my apps and see if there's an update. I'll be able to see what version of field service I'm on. Where's it gone? I've probably come on the trial. It's not showing to me because I'm on a trial for this. But I can go see you'll see something like an update available. You have to go click and make sure you're updated. Yeah, here it is. I'm at the latest version of the trial. So I can go see what version I'm at and things like that. So I'm at 8.8.3.0. So I'm installed. So I'm happy. I can use it in this environment quite okay. The other thing to be able to use the app, you need to have so the app is linked to one of the security roles. So there are about 5 security roles out of the box with field service scheduler, field service administrator. What is field service resource? So you need to go to the app. It doesn't do this by default. Go into the app and make sure it's got that role. So I go into here, manage roles, and make sure I give it that role. It has. It's actually got it. Actually, it looks like it actually is setting it now. It didn't initially, but it's setting it now, so it has that role. And I need to make sure that my user's got that role as well. Because I'm going to be looking at it as well. So I'm going to go to my users and go set that make sure I've got that role. Then I'll be able to run that app. So I'm just going to go check that while I'm here, because I can do this now all in the. Where am I? I need to go to my users, not my. Okay, so I'm going to go just make sure I've got that role.
Julian, I think you are not showing the complete screen because we have only presentation.
So what we're sharing? I'm only sharing. Sorry, I'm not sharing my.
I think you're not showing this complete desktop. You're just showing the presentation.
Okay, I'm sharing my desktop. Sorry about that. So all I did was go into. So yes, so I normally share the whole screen. What happened there? Sorry about that. So what I did is I went into. I'll just go back then. So what I went into is, to see if you've got the field service app, you need to go in and. When you go into your apps, you just click on your up here to see the apps. You should see the new field service mobile app. If you haven't got that, you haven't got the right version. What you have to do is go to the Power Platform Admin Center, go into your environment. I've got an environment called Field Service, which is a trial. And you need to go and just check what version you're on. And if you go to the Dynamics resources, you'll be able to see the version of the app. And you may see, so I go down to here, look at mine, it's details, it'll tell me the version. I'm at 8.8.3.0. If you're not at that level, there should be like an update available. Make sure you click and install the update. And if you get the latest update, you'll get to see that app. The other thing you have to worry about is making sure that this app is assigned to the role. It's linked to the field service resource role, because every unified app needs to be linked to a role to be able for you to be able to run it. So I need to make sure my app role's got that as well. So I need to make sure I give myself the role. I thought I had, no, I haven't. So I need to give myself the role. So giving myself the role, because a number of people say I can't see the app. And this is one of the common problems. I go to my mobile, I go run it, and I can't see it. And you need to just make sure your security roles on the app and your user are set up. Then there's one other thing. Okay. So you do that, make sure it's there. Now, the actual mobile app itself, we have been through a series of field service mobiles. You can see here this screenshot. You can see some of them. I've got my field service mobile 2010 with the truck symbol. I've got that's an old one. There's actually some other ones as well, still on the various stores. You need to make sure you're using the right app, and it's this one with the new field service logo. So you search for field service brackets Dynamics 365. It's this one with the field service logo. That's the app you want to install. When you click on it, it should look something like this, and you can install it on your iOS or Android phone or tablet. Then, what's really key, if you're running a trial, when you launch the app, you have to go into settings and toggle this on, show non-production apps. Okay, it won't show otherwise. So for instance, I'm running a trial. It took me ages to find this the first time. Why can't I see the app in my mobile device? And it's that setting. Right, you do not use the Dynamics 365 for phones app, which you normally use for sales or customer service. You do not use the Power Apps app, because now I think they've merged them together. This is actually going to, although it runs a model-driven app, it's a special version. And Microsoft decided to keep this separate because they don't want to confuse technicians saying, okay, you've got to go, you're doing field service, you need to go download the Power Apps app. And they go, what's that? No, they're going to keep this separate, and it's only for this app. What does it look like in terms of everything else? So it's going to remain a separate app. So what it is, we see here, the screen is signed in, looks like this, and you see the navigation. And we've got things like bookings and key points, and I've got my work order. And the great thing is it combines the work order and booking records together in one form. This is one of the biggest things that they need to do. I'm able to go and actually view all the data together rather than have to switch between the work order, the booking, the requirement, the customer record. It's all going to be there. So unfortunately, they've still got the word Power Apps on the sign up screen. Hopefully that will go. Okay, so these are some screenshots I took just to get me up and running. And then you see the service tasks. So I can go see what I'm meant to be doing. I can go complete them from within my phone. And you see here we've also got some offline access. I'll talk about that a bit more later on. So now you've had a little introduction to it. So you now know it's a model-driven app. You now know that it's got some functionality, some nice things. Let's compare it with the three options that we have. Okay, so the first option is the existing option. That's what's known as the Field Service Mobile. Sometimes Microsoft has started to refer it to as Field Service Mobile Xamarin. So because it's written in Xamarin. So it's an app written in another technology. It's written by a third party. They've created a special version of it for field service. So it's a company called Resco. They built it, and it's been around for a long time. You can use this Resco mobile client with sales and other things, because it has some really nice functionality. It's had full offline working, full sync with trickle feeding of data. It has had access into things like barcode scanners. It can go and read things like Google calendars, and it can access SharePoint folders and documents, as well as a lot of other things, because it doesn't just work with Dynamics, it works with Salesforce and other CRM tools. So it does have a lot of power. One of its great advantages was this user interface for the technician. It allows to show everything in one place. But to do that, the downside of it was a separate configuration tool. Anybody here use Woodford? If you've been involved, let me say, everybody chatting back to me. I shall answer those questions afterwards. So I'm going to finish quite early.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't mind if people want to, if you want to prompt me for a question at any time, I don't mind. But hopefully, I'll probably answer it. The way I've written this, hopefully, I should answer a lot of the questions and see where we get. Now, there is a separate configuration tool known as Woodford. So if you wanted to go customize the work order or booking forms, you did it in your normal, now in the within a solution in the Maker portal. But you'd also have to go to this separate tool called Woodford and effectively do it again. So adding a new field, you'd have to do twice. I mean, there are some really nice things about fields, the Woodford tool, about the ability to do some scripting and some logic. It had its own business rules before Dynamics had business rules to affect the form. So it does the job right now. And so the Field Service Mobile is used by lots of people. It's really great, lots of functionality there, people using it. The Field Service Mobile Power App. So this is the word we're using, Field Service Mobile Power App, sometimes with a capital M, sometimes without. It's a new model-driven app that I've just explained, but it lacks some important features, and I'm going to do a comparison. So it meets some requirements right now, but it's missing some things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The third option is always to write your own Canvas app, and this is what we actually did last year because we didn't have the Field Service Mobile app, and to be honest, the rest go out. The Field Service Mobile work orders was far much more than we needed because we were effectively doing inspections. We didn't have our own version of inspections, so we built our own Canvas apps for that because we really did need that full functionality. Because what I get with the Canvas app, I've got access to GPS, I've got access to the camera. So that gave me what I needed, and it was probably easier for us to build something because it actually looked really nice as well. And I always say looking pretty counts. It was simple to use, nice, quick and easy. And the people already had tablet devices, so it worked quite nicely. So what does it do now? This is like a little slide I got from Microsoft, or a picture. Over time, they're going to go towards feature parity with the Xamarin app, with the existing app. So the Field Service Mobile app will get closer. That's the idea. So it now supports a number of different things. I mean, for instance, it supports time entries. It supports Remote Assist Deep Link. Remote Assist Deep Link is the ability to launch into Remote Assist from within a work order, launch into your Remote Assist on your HoloLens, and then save the data back into work order. So without having to go into Remote Assist, navigate to it. And it also supports some connected field service, which is one of my favorite things, IoT within field service. So that's there, but that's where they go. Microsoft want to have this. So you see here in this middle diagram, I've actually got some IoT telemetry there, showing me information. So I'll be able to surface that within the mobile app. But this is my little chart, and I've got a couple of pages of this. I want to spend a bit of time on here, about 5-10 minutes, just going through here. So what do I have? So the Field Service Mobile Xamarin, which is the one powered by Resco. You see it's available on all devices, including Windows. The mobile app isn't. And the Canvas app isn't on Windows. And we have some issues with running it on Windows tablets at the moment. Can I access the entities? Yes, I can. Can I go offline? Yes, I can, but I'm going to have a big but around that. Because if I wanted it for Canvas apps, I have to do it myself. Anybody here who's doing offline work with Canvas apps, you've got to write your own save data, local data, and handle that yourself. The Field Service Mobile app has some offline capability, which I'll talk about a bit more. And it's really about offline sync filters. So to be able to synchronize the data offline, that's one of the really strong points of the Xamarin client. It can just get exactly the data it needs, and it can sync the data nicely. It sort of happens in the background. You really don't need to worry about it. For the Field Service Mobile Power App, that's in the roadmap. We have some basic offline working, but not the full sync. And if you want to do it in Canvas app, you're going to have to do it yourself. So when it says no in Canvas app, that means you've got to build it, or it's really just not possible without a lot of work. Other things, GPS location, I've got them in all three. I really should have put the Dynamics app in there, the Dynamics mobile, just to compare, because that doesn't have the GPS. Geofencing, really important. Again, what geofencing is, it'll send you an alert if somebody goes within a certain radius of a latitude and longitude. So maybe somebody goes to a customer site or leaves a customer site. That can trigger alerts. That's in the Xamarin. It's in the roadmap for Field Service Mobile. And I think when we get to these, some of these roadmap things, for me, these need to be there for certain customers. Mobile device management, yes, all of them. So that means managing my devices through things like what's Intune called now, Microsoft Endpoint Manager, whatever they've renamed Intune to. We can do that. Field Service Xamarin, it's got its own Microsoft MDM system. Canvas we have as well. We can manage devices, but they're all slightly different. Reporting, yes, we've got some in the it's going to be roadmap. And time entry I can do. I mentioned that it's in the Field Service Mobile Power App now because people need to capture the time. If you want to do it in a Canvas app, you'd have to build it. It would be relatively trivial to do. And we've done that. We did that last year. In terms of, this is more about the resources on a mobile device, what we've got. Camera there, we've got all there, barcode scanner, yes, signature capture, yes. Things like scanning assets, that's quite important to be able to go and scan a barcode, or maybe even and then find the asset, find the thing I'm meant to be working, identify the part. That's really important because sometimes you just don't know what it is by telling. Canvas app, I'd have to do my own build. It wouldn't be terribly difficult. One thing Field Service Mobile app can do, it can do Power Virtual Agents in it. We can't do that in any of the others. And then that SharePoint files offline is another thing. So these are some of the pros and cons on each of them. You see there are a lot of differences. There is a big roadmap on here about where we're going and what's happening. I know they're looking at native Windows because they know they're going to have so native Windows client we're going to need, because there are a lot of technicians who use Surfaces. So that's really going to be driving it. It's just the offline, how it works, the offline functionality I talked about on this previous slide, that uses the mobile offline profiles. So if you've ever done it with which the normal Dynamics Mobile does, it effectively sets that up for you. So if I was to go into my system, I can't remember where it's set up, to be honest. It's probably in the go into my, I'll probably have to go to advanced settings because it's in the classic interface. It's going to be long. But if I look into here and I go into my mobile offline settings, we'll see it's already created a profile with all the entities set up, and I can just tweak it if I need to. So that's done. A lot of it's done for you. So if I go, yeah, there is a profile which will say field service already configured, field service offline profile, and I can go into that and I can change it if I want. But it's essentially using that. There is something more fulfilling coming later, which allows, because it's basically just, okay, if I looked at this, it would just be all my bookings. So if I was to look at booking resource bookings, which is the main entity, I can see the filter, what's there. I can go and define it, what it actually comes out to be, and I can change that. But it's just using it's just reusing the standard offline profiles that are there right now. I think for true, this is okay. It is offline working. You see here what it says. It basically pulls the next 7 days and today's bookings over onto your mobile device. That's what it's defining. So it has some capability in the offline. Something else that's coming, technician locator. Where's my tech? The sort of thing you want to know. Where are they? So be able to ask the device to tell us where you are. That's coming. It's one of the things in the roadmap. It's not on here. I should have had it. Where's my tech? It's something we can do with the Field Service Mobile Xamarin, but we can't do with the Field Service Mobile Power App right now. And yeah, deep linking. So this is a list of the roadmap options. Again, I stole this slide from Microsoft. So this was a couple of months ago, well, September time, and they say here there's a lot of change. You see that October and December, a lot of changes coming. Now I haven't seen these changes. I checked last week and they weren't there on my environment yet. And when I went to have a look at the docs, they actually said, "Oh, we haven't released them yet." So you see there's October and December. So there's some planned. So effectively it's Q3, and I think the beginning of Q3 and the beginning of Q4, we're going to see a lot of changes coming. They're really working hard on this to be able to make changes. Now I've got these slides up, so I've got a link to the slides at the end, so I'll be able to have them. But really what I'll do is spend that next 10 minutes, 5 minutes on what to do next, because everybody I've spoken to about this is confused. because there's a lot of impact on me depending where I am. And this here is my personal view. Okay, this is Microsoft's statement. I'm going to give you my view in a minute. So this is what Microsoft say. They say you should continue to use the field service mobile app. So they recommend to use the field service mobile app, the current one, for now, for current and new deployments. So that's what they recommend, to use the Xamarin app, the one that's powered by RESTCOL for new and current and new. That's because it's going to evolve, and it's going to carry on evolving, not just into January, but there's more things scheduled for April and June. But what they're saying is by June 2021, all new deployments must use the field service Dynamics mobile app. That's because they're not going to license new deployments for the RESTCO app, because Microsoft has to pay RESTCO. And if you're on the field service mobile Xamarin app, you've got a year past June to transition off it. So that's actually huge. If you've deployed this, you effectively going to have to start looking to move off it, and that can be quite painful if you've already gone ahead. I've got a link to where it talks about this at the bottom. We'll have a look what it says right now. What does it say today? Because it does change. They do update this page fairly regularly. And it's actually got a nice feature comparison. It's actually got a more detailed feature comparison than I've got on mine. They've enhanced it. But this is what Microsoft say. They say carry on with RESTCO for now, but in 6 months' time, you're going to have to start moving off it. So you're going to have to plan for that. This is what my thoughts are. This is very much me, not Microsoft. So I think if you have simpler needs that can be met with that field service mobile power up, deploy that, because it's going to give you a way forward. So I'd always try it. So if you don't need geofencing, you do not need full offline sync. You can do with basic offline sync. So the customer I did last year, they could have done that. They didn't need those capabilities. That would have been fine for them. We're actually on phase 2 of that project now. It's going on and on. So it's turned into quite a big project. But yeah, when we started it, I would have gone with them if I'd been there. If we were starting this now, I'd have gone with that. Okay. If you have simple GPS, simple offline, or push notification requirements, because push notification isn't in the field service mobile power app, push notification can be important for you, then consider creating a Canvas app, because that's what we did last year. Because this is exactly what we had: simple GPS, simple off. I mean, even the offline was simple. It was just simple. It was really simple offline capability, and push notifications. Push notification was the requirement, which was the one that tipped us. If you got strong offline requirements with offline syncing, where you need people to be synchronizing all the time to get the latest, that's particularly where you've got people like getting multiple jobs a day, and things are really changing a lot. So in some field service environments, you don't just get your bookings for the whole day and that's what you do. Things are being rearranged all the time, and if you're doing that, you need the client, the mobile client, syncing all the time to get the latest data. So my client didn't have that. They're essentially going to one site a day to do some inspection. So because the inspection took all day, so they didn't need that. They knew where they were going in the morning. But if I was going like someplace for half an hour at a time, then another half hour, I'm going to make sure I need to be able to get my latest data. Again, if you need location sharing, so where am I? Where's my tech? Field service mobile. If you need geofencing, which some people do, field service mobile, which is the Xamarin one. But if you've already got it, I would actually start looking at it. I mean, I said after wave 2. I would actually say after these October release comes in. So, I put my roadmap, go back, these October ones, location tracking, location audit. I'd wait for them to come before start looking. So I was going to suggest wait till after it all releases. The trouble is, they have wave 2 release in fall, but we actually don't get parts of it until October, November, December, January. So you should start looking to it now, because you need to work out what you've got to do. And you need to start planning for starting a project in, say, May or June time, because it's going to take you a while. Because you think about what you've got. I know when we deployed to 500 people, deploying a mobile application is one of the most significant parts you do, because you've effectively got to train 500 people, you've got to take them out of their workload. You have to really schedule it really tightly, because they're scheduled for work. We need to take people out, schedule them, do some training, get them, then switch them over. You can't just do big bang. You've got to think about the implications for you. So if you've got like 1,000 technicians, you can't just switch from the old to the new one day. How are you going to handle that? And so I think there's some big challenges here. So resources, that what we have, I always like to finish off with resources, what we got. That's a link to my slides. I'll put it in the chat at the end when we go to questions. I'll go copy that into the chat. It's tinyurl.com. It's off to my OneDrive. I'll do that in a second. There's a docs page I pointed you out before. There's actually more docs there now than there were. They've actually put some docs pages. And I've got some links here to where they first announced it and some of the Wave 2 where they talk about it. So I'll look at this one in particular, Wave 2. This is what I said here. They originally said this is what I've done. It's now been, some of the functionality's not been released. Okay. So yeah, there used to be like all those October, December dates in here. They've gone. But you see down here that we look at the technician locator, we go see, yes, December, we're on for that. Technician efficiency, it's going to, that says general available October, but I haven't seen it yet. Push notifications that's the one that's important for me. Recorded service with videos and photos. Yeah, you really, really need that. Okay, so we're waiting to see all that come through. So that's it for me. I'll just put the link to the slides back up, but I'll start taking any questions now. Let's go into
yes, Julian. There are a couple of questions. Yes, thank you, Preeti. Julian, the first question is from Shashi, and it says currently Microsoft says that the field service mobile power app is still not matured and should be considered for simple use cases and for complex scenarios. We should still go for the field service app built on top of RESCO platform, or is there any standard decision metrics to decide?
That's what last couple of slides. I'll just bring those last couple of slides up. This is what Microsoft say. So if I look at, I'll bring the mates a bit bigger so you can see it. So that's what Microsoft's statement is. So they say they recommend you to continue with the Xamarin RESCO client. These were my thoughts on it. So I tried to show my thoughts are if your needs are not, so if you don't need things like geofencing or strong offline capabilities, then I would consider going to the field service mobile power app now. If I was deploying now and I didn't have those requirements, I'll go for the power app.
All right.
But if I have those, so if I've got things like strong offline, strong things like geofencing, strong location sharing and auditing, then I need to stick with the RESCO app. That's really what I'm going to be doing.
Got it. The next question. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
The next question is from Kiran G. He's asking, I believe the app is shipped with combined forms. For example, work order and booking. Can be customized to extend the out-of-the-box combined form to bring other entities?
Yeah, I think it's a PCF control. So I'm not sure, again, how much I can control that, how much you can configure that. I think in the initial version, when I looked at it initially, you couldn't configure it at all. So we'll see how they develop it. But I think it's one of the exciting things. I think it makes Microsoft realize that their single record per form editable is actually a real limitation. They're starting to hit that. I mean, I've been telling Microsoft for years they need the ability to do more. So I think PCF is really the opening for it.
Okay, got it. The second is offline sync available for fields like in RESCO? If not, any tentative timeline from Microsoft?
Well, yeah. So if we look at the timeline here, they do say we've got some offline enhancements such as sync performance, manual force in October. I think the real stuff won't come until the real good stuff in terms of to be parity with RESCO won't come until probably about April next year.
Okay.
But again, they're not saying that. I mean, the dates I showed you is all that they had, but they want to get it. They want to have full feature parity by June next year. That's their aim.
Okay. There are two last questions. Does all the work orders get downloaded or only the booked work orders?
Well, again, it's using the offline profiles. So if I go and have a look at, I close it down, but I went into my offline profiles. It just sets up a standard one. So you can go customize the rules as to what's downloaded. So for instance, we used to this is one of the challenges we had. We had a requirement. We wanted, well, this is one reason we went for a Canvas app last year, because they said, because they had bookings, but they only wanted to show the confirmed bookings with the detail to the technicians, the unconfirmed bookings, because customers had like 48 hours to confirm things. they didn't actually want to show them which the customer was. And that's really hard to do. So we actually did it in a Canvas app. So, but yes, you can go and you can change, look at the filter by booking status, or maybe the date period to what you can choose what to push down. That's up to you. That's in the mobile profile.
Okay, so one last question was, is there the report feature that is available?
Not yet. That was one of the things I said. I think it was on my list. I said, go back to my reporting was one of the things said roadmap, but I'm not sure what they mean by that. But I think that might be an aspiration. Do they say anything here? They haven't got anything in the roadmap in the Wave 2 release notes, but I know they were talking about, yes, we need it, but what it looks like, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So one moment, let me just check if there are any more
there was
questions.
one other one I saw. So yeah, supports entities but not fields. Yeah, it's still
correct.
in roadmap. Yes. So that was right from Kieran. That's a backslash for Windows Americans. Yeah, I'm not sure what Kieran said. That's probably when I was talking about something. Oh, I see. I'm at the leaderboard. Get on it if you haven't done. Need to beat me.
No, that's it.
I do a lot of exams and other things, so I'm able to go, oh, I knew that. There was one other question that was really good.
Yeah, we have one more question early on. It is from Sashi. It's does Microsoft have any planning for any tools or accelerators to migrate RESCO Woodford configuration to field service mobile power app once it plans to stop supporting the RESCO platform?
Yeah, that's the question I remember. I saw it briefly. I meant to come to. Yeah, so is there a migration path if you've already spent all your time customizing RESCO? The answer is no.
Okay.
Simple, and I don't think they will do. I've been involved in the Field One when Microsoft bought Dynamics Field Service was bought from a company called Field One. So we had Field One Sky, and they didn't do an upgrade from that. You had to redo it yourself, and we'll be in the same. I think it's just so different. You're better off starting again, to be honest, and reimagining what you want. I know for some people this is why it's really big. I know it's sad. And I think I really think it's really hard. I mean, yeah, learn something new. I think it's always good because if you've done it, because the RESCO client will have told the RESCO and Woodford would have got you to configure it in a particular way. You'd have configured it to fit the RESCO. And if you try to recreate what's in RESCO, you won't end up with necessarily an optimal experience for the user. So in fact, you have to start again. So this is why I think it's a big challenge for a lot of people. And you started already. Excellent.
Yes. Sashi asked, that means re-implementation of features. Is that correct?
Yeah. That means re-implementation. And right now, not everything's there. So I'd have a look. Right now, I'd be looking at it if I've already got just comparing, but knowing that there are things coming, knowing where the gaps are. Maybe doing a proof of concept is what you need to start doing.
All right. If there are no further questions, I would say thank you so much for joining, everyone. We really appreciate your presence, and we hope that you are taking away some new learnings definitely from this session. And thank you, Julian Sharp, for an amazing session on your discovering the field service mobile power app and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much for that.
No, that's been great. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, guys. Deepesh, you can stop the recording.
Yeah.
Vivek,